Hey everybody, it's David Pingree here with Racer-X Online. I'm with Jay Clark from Dirt Bike TV, and we're riding one of his project bikes today, and this is a unique, interesting deal here. This started its life as a 250 FC, a motocross version from Husqvarna. And for guys who want to do some off-road but don't want to have all the weight and power of a 450, this is a really cool option. That was sort of their focus, is building something that somebody that wanted a little less power but the functionality of an off-roader. So Jay, tell us a little, I mean, it looks really cool. What'd you do? I can see it's got a 270 kit in it. Tell us a little bit about what you did to make this thing off-road worthy.
Well, so first thing is we used this thing for motocross for about a year, and then I was like, hey, it's getting time to sell this thing, get a new bike. And I'm like, well, why don't we make a trail bike out of it first? Selling used 250s kind of sucks. You don't get a lot for them, so it's like, hey, let's make a trail bike out of it, use it for a while, get a little bit more use out of this thing. And we used it as a motocross bike. We put the 270 kit in. Racetech helped put the kit in, and no porting, stock valves, stock springs, stock cams, and we put a Vortex ECU, and they mapped it, Vortex at Racetech. And the thing's up about 5 horsepower and a bunch of torqueys, man. Like, she really picks up. Where on these bikes stock, most people will switch the front sprocket from a 14 to a 13. We ran the stock 14, 51 gearing on the motocross track, and it's great, and that's what we have out here. And I've tested it out on the trails, and it seems really good, so we'll see what you think of it. And that was the main part of the engine package we wanted to do for this thing.
And then obviously you added a larger tank so you can increase your distance. What are some of the off-road focused things?
So the IMS has got the big tank. They also have a coolant catch can, which is actually inside the frame. Very hard to see, but that gives us, so when this thing pukes out a little coolant, if we overheat it in some tight trails, it'll puke it in there and suck it right back in. So that's something to help with the cooling. ICW does radiator strengthening because we want to make this thing a little stronger because, we do drop it. And that goes right back to the handguards. We've got those wraparound handguards on there because we want to make sure this thing, if we do drop it in the trail, which we do, I got a 29-inch inseam in, so sometimes you drop this thing, and so when you do, you don't break anything when you drop it. So got those wraparound handguards, skid plate. Pro Moto Billett's got a kickstand. I know you might not think kickstands are cool, but when you're on the trail for a bunch of hours, it's nice when you stop and you got a kickstand.
It's nice not having to lift it onto a stand. Just kick this thing down. I'll appreciate it later, I'm sure. Yeah, the handguards are good. Even if you're going through trees and more solid brush, just a regular motocross handguard is a lot of times not enough.
No, that's what these wraparounds are just way strong. And so durability is about what we try to build these off-road bikes for, so that everything's strong with it, the radiators being strengthened. Got some good tie pegs from Scar. Supersprox we have an O-ring chain and also their stealth sprocket. So it's steel on the outside. That way it's real strong. This chain and sprocket deal should last, you could put a year or two on this thing and it's going to be just fine.
And what about the tires? Now, we were talking a little bit about this tire. There's an AT off-road tire that is sort of the standard if you're off-roading, but this is an EX model.
Yeah, so this is a really cool deal. It's our trail tire. So this isn't something you'd want to run maybe, like if you're going on the track or anything, you wouldn't want to run it there. This is just for tight trails, like what you'll be hitting today. So this thing's it's a real gummy tire. People will call them gummies, and it's an AT81 EX. And so guys will run it in endurocross. And this tire works amazing on the trails, and it'll work down. It's a trials tire compound, but with a knobby, so it'll just grab and still works good in the sand and the mud. So it's amazing.
But roots and rocks and things where you really need grip, that's where it shines.
Oh, it's amazing, and I think you're going to love it. So and for you, it's not going to be as big a deal as it is for me. So it helps make a guy that's not that good a rider, like 20% better rider, trail riding, just right away. He can make it up a section that he might not clean on the first try without it. So that's what really helps guys.
Cool. Well, it's got a lot of cool parts and pieces. Looks great. Let's go get this thing on some trails, and we'll give you guys some feedback. Well, I'm admittedly not a huge off-road guy. I don't do as much of it as I would like. Just don't have the time. But to go out and jump into some trails and pop through some obstacles and rocks, this was a super fun bike. To me, a lot of times you get on a 450 and it's just, especially if it's tight trails and technical stuff and you're dabbing your feet, 450 is a lot of bike. Short guy like myself, that makes it a little bit of a struggle. This was a really cool compromise. So the 250 chassis, the weight of the 250 with the 270 big bore kit in it, you get a lot of extra torque, the exhaust, and you can add a stage 2 hot cam into this thing that'll pick your top end back up if you're wanting that. But it's sort of a nice combination between a 250 and a 450. So the engine's great. And the other thing I was worried about is that maybe as a motocross model, this thing wouldn't be able to chug in the real tight stuff. But you can drop this thing into first gear and literally it's a slow walk. So you definitely don't need to address gearing on this thing. It's great the way it is. That first gear is nice and low. You can chug yourself up steep climbs or through tight sections, no problem. The suspension on this thing was done by Race Tech, but it was set up for motocross. So for me, I would open the compression up a little bit, maybe speed the rebound up just a touch, because you really want this thing to work, be really soft through little rocky sections, rock gardens, square edge stuff as you're coming through the trail. You just don't want it deflecting at all. So I'd rather deal with it being a little soft and bottoming if I hit something really hard, rather than high speed through something and have it start, snapping around on me. It's pretty good the way it is for the stuff we did today, but if I really started pushing it, I'd want to soften it up a bit. But it worked great. The Race Tech guys do a good job. The fact that you can run your off-road, motocross stuff on an off-road trail and feel comfortable says something for that. Good grips, good bars. I love these hand guards here. Like I said before, a lot of times if you just have the plastic ones, you hit a good sized branch or brush and it smashes into your fingers. It almost does more damage. So this is nice knowing you can just plow right through stuff. The tire was another eye-opener. So this is not even really designed for what we have out here. It's a lot of dry silt, sandy stuff, and that's not where this thing really shines. But we did have a few rock climbs and a couple of sections that were just really baked hard packed. And this thing, you can feel it hooking up. Just start to roll the throttle on and you're getting traction where you feel like you should be spinning. Same thing on the rocks. It's like Velcro. So if you're riding in a lot of like wet, slick rocks or tree roots, oh man, you got to try this tire. It's incredible. So AT81 XE Enduro Cross tire. Check that thing out. Really, really cool. So Jay did a great job on this thing. As far as an off-road machine, this thing's a weapon. You could take this and go play on the trails for hours and hours. And then if you wanted to get back on a motocross track and do a few laps, this thing's certainly capable. The big tank, just don't fill it all the way up, and you don't really notice the weight. And so it makes for a very versatile bike, depending on what kind of riding you want to do, or if you're somebody that likes to do all sorts. So great job. Thanks to all the companies involved in this thing. It was a lot of fun, and I'm sure Jay's going to have a great time on this year. Thanks for watching.